The tragedy of a society that overvalues status. I see this as a symptom of collective emotional underdevelopment. And if you were to broaden that, it would just basically be a bunch of dysfunctional family systems that taught their children that status is of utmost importance. And you hear in the news, whether national, international, local, whatever it be, maybe it was somebody that you knew, of unfortunate tragedies. The star player of a team ended up wrapping their car around a tree due to speeding to a regular Saturday event of practice. And then unfortunately ended up losing their life because they value status over health. And this is really fucking deep. I'm not just talking about the individual perspective. I'm talking about the family of origin perspective. I'm talking about the intergenerational perspective of fucked upness. That's what I'm talking about. It's not just the, the Ivy League student that was found dead for whatever reason, and that does not entail some disease that came on and took them away. No, I'm talking about the collective mental health crisis that is neglected. Not only neglected, but also hushed away by other seemingly more important things. Healthcare should be a basic human right, period, end of story. But the very reality of it is that many people value and even overvalue money and status more. And I know also that a lot of people don't want to hear this because, of course, the defense mechanisms go up, the rejection, the denial goes up. Money is just money. That's all that it is. The number, it's just paper. None of that stuff is actually, it doesn't have any value other than the value that we've given to it. And it's wild when you deconstruct that entire construct in and of itself. But that is it. Money is just money. All you do with it is exchange it for something else. You could apply that same value to something else. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is the recognition of the symptom that comes from the root. The symptom is emotional unhealth. The root is a fucked up system. That's what it is. I understand a standard for performance. I understand achievement. I understand success. I understand outcome. But what I'm going to say is that all of that can be done in a healthy way. One of the things that's wild to me is that many people go through the process of education not for the learning experience, not to dive into different subjects with ooh and ah, but to achieve numbers. Think about a GPA, Think about how people strive for a 4.0. It's just a number. And really what I want to say here is that the love for learning, the curiosity for learning is a healthier approach. Not just a healthier approach, a healthy approach. Pursuing numbers is just pursuing numbers, but people do that for status, of course, you know? Ivy League, valedictorian, all of that stuff. It's just status, it's just label, it's just number. It's just the crown that the person has been taught to chase after. And the unfortunate tragedy of unhealth that floods that entire system is very sad. It really is. There's a genuine difference between deep love for learning, to actually learn something, and that of just going through the motions of something to get something else. Utterly fucking exhausting yourself to achieve a 4.0 GPA. You can simultaneously do that while falling in love with the process of learning and having healthy boundaries and approaching it with a different standard. But what I'm going to say, I'm not claiming this as fact or truth, but I would argue that a majority of those that pursue this are not doing it from a place of love and curiosity for the subject, but they're doing it to achieve a status, and that is unhealthy. And these symptoms that we see being reported, from what I've learned and understand, are a result of that. And the final thing that I want to say is that I'm not going to say that nothing is important. This is not a nihilistic statement. What I'm going to say, though, is that it's not that important. I would argue that one of the most important things that we could have is healthcare as a basic human right. Society would be very different. We don't have that. Instead, we have news agencies reporting tragedies that students, among many other people, are losing their lives, probably because they're fucking exhausted from pressure to perform within a fucked up, dysfunctional system. That's sad. That's very sad. That is the tragedy of a society that overvalues status, as well as money. But when you look at the reality that the overvaluing of status directly goes back to the reality that those individuals, I don't even want to say likely, those individuals did not get healthy ego state development. Because if they did, their worth wouldn't have been in the value of that status. Their worth would be inherent. It would be intrinsic. And that's the difference. And if you don't recognize that difference, you're not going to understand the unfortunate dynamics that play out and unfold in society, in many different societies around the world. It's not just, the society of the United States. It's many other places as well. It's just very fascinating to explore this and to see it for what it is. Recognize the symptoms. Oh, you're gonna be late to practice. Quite honestly, who gives a fuck? It's a game. Yes, I understand that probably, again, not claiming fact or truth here, but probably a majority of the sports in the entire fucking world, probably all of them, are played with the intention of, I'm not just going to say competition, I'm going to say unhealthy drive. Yeah, you don't play a sport without the intention of winning, of course. But, quite honestly, ew. It doesn't need to get to the extent when I say ew, I don't mean gross. What I mean is not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. That's what I'm introducing here. No, you don't need to speed because it's not as big a deal as your mind is making it out to be. Understanding that is very important. It's not as big a deal as your mind is making it out to be. And I understand that if I say this to you, the defense mechanisms might go up and you might click away from this video. It's okay. It's okay. I understand the dynamics. I know how this works for a lot of people. But that doesn't change that it's not that big of a deal. Human emotional health is more important than anything. Not status, not money, not any of that stuff. But again, many different people perceive themselves, perceive life, perceive the world, perceive society through whatever lens they're wearing. And many people are also simultaneously unaware of the different lenses that they are wearing. That's the reality of it. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just the difference between healthy versus unhealthy. See it for what it is, or else you'll be blinded, distracted, confused by what it's not.